Hi, my name is Pietro Pugni and I'm from Milan, Italy. This is week 2 assignment for the Introduction to Music Production course from Berklee College of Music on Coursera.org. I'm going to illustrate you how to prepare a project in PreSonus Studio One 2 using the project checklist from the material of the course. First of all, we must be sure to set the proper project name and location for our DAW project. This is very important because we may want to backup the project file, the audio files and the automation files if necessary. I set up a folder on my computer in which I create and save all my DAW projects, and it's located under Music and Studio One, here. Now I open my DAW software, which is PreSonus Studio One 2.5 artist version. To create a new project, we must click on Create a new song. And here we can set the title of the project. For example, Assignment Week 2. And select the folder location of our project. Music, Studio One, open. Then we have to set the sample rate and bit depth of our audio interface. The sample rate is how many times per second the AD converter reads the analog signal values and converts them to binary values. So analog to digital conversion is a discretization of a continuous signal. With high sample rates, you get more accurate samplings. And most of the audio interfaces let you choose between 44,100 Hz, 48,000 Hz, 88,200 Hz and 96,000 Hz, while on professional equipment you can reach up to 192,000 Hz. Bit depth is the number of bits used to represent a binary number. With 16 bits you can represent up to 65,000 different numbers. With 24 bits you have up to 16 million different numbers, and with 32 bits you have up to 4 billion different numbers. So increasing the bit depth, you increase the maximum and minimum value, but also the precision, because of the decimal numbers used to better approximate real numbers. The immediate consequence of increasing bit depth is that you get a higher and more accurate dynamic range discretization, so your recording will be more quiet on low amplitudes and less distorted on high amplitudes. A good compromise is 24-bit depth and 48,000 Hz for sample rate. Okay, so now I click on OK, and I have a new project with no tracks. I create a new track, call it mic 1, select the input 1 input, which is the microphone with which I'm talking, click on OK, enable the track for recording, I deactivate the monitor and click the record button. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. OK. The digital signal sent to your computer from the audio interface should be recorded in an uncompressed file format. Otherwise, you get a second sampling of a yet sampled signal. On many DAW, you can set the recording audio file format, but on Studio One you can't. So you have to look to the recorded takes and verify that they are in uncompressed file format. Studio One records in broadcast waveform audio file format, also called WAV, which is an uncompressed file format. You can verify it by clicking on Pull in the bottom right corner of the project screen. And as you can see here, we have the take I've just recorded. If I select it and look on the bottom, I can see that it's a WAV file format recorded at 48 kHz at 24-bit depth. Then you have to make sure that the DAW communicates properly with the ins and outs of your audio interface. Every DAW has a dedicated option panel in which you can choose the audio interface, but some of them can also let you manually assign the audio interface ins and outs to the DAW, virtual ins and outs. This is very important because before recording you must assign a virtual in to the track you want to record over, and a virtual out or a submix to route the track signal to hardware output so that you can hear it. On PreSonus Studio One, we can click on Studio One, Preferences, Song Setup, Audio I/O Setup, and as you can see here, there's a mapping matrix of the hardware inputs and virtual inputs of the DAW, and the same for the outputs. Here I have the hardware outputs and the virtual outputs of the DAW. Then you have to set the buffer size, also called the sample size. The sample size is a queue of bits sent from the audio interface to the DAW. If you increase the sample size, the audio interface spends more time to fill the queue. Then the DAW records the queue, generates a new queue of the same size, and sends it back to the audio interface in order to reproduce it. So the DAW spends a certain time to fill the output queue. If you sum both the input and the output queues, you have to wait time before the original audio source is recorded and then reproduced for monitoring. If you have a small sample size, this process is fast and you can't perceive latency between the instant in which you generate the sound and the instant you hear the recorded sound, while increasing the sample size increases the latency time. The sample size generates a trade-off between latency and the performance of the computer. So for recording purposes, you have to set a low sample size. 128 is a good value. On PreSonus Studio One, you can go on Options and set it, selecting this drop-down menu here. Studio One also estimates the latency time for the input and output signals. I have showed you the important steps to follow when creating a new DAW project. You must set a project folder and a project name. Select the sample rate and the bit depth of your audio interface. Make sure that your DAW records uncompressed audio files. Map the input and output channels of your audio interface and set the sample size to get the best compromise between latency and performance. I hope you enjoyed this assignment and thank you for the positive and negative feedbacks you gave me in the previous assignment. I'll see you next week. Bye!